Hi, Ro. Well, as you say, there is little to no confidence in Peru's elected officials, but Martin Vizcarra, the president of Peru for most of this year, was actually the vice president of Pedro Pablo Kuczynski, who resigned amid corruption allegations in March. And since he's taken office, he has pushed through an anti-corruption drive, which is getting results, and he's become the unlikely champion of the anti-corruption movement in the country. Peruvians are voting with hope. This referendum comes at the end of a year of seismic shifts in politics, changes which many Peruvians welcome. They're being asked if they want to change the system used to appoint judges and prosecutors, to toughen laws on electoral campaign financing, adding criminal penalties, and to limit lawmakers' terms by banning immediate re-election. Polls show most people say an overwhelming yes to these measures. But a fourth and final question, to change Peru's one-chamber legislature to a bicameral system, was predicted to be voted down, a sign of just how unpopular politicians are right now. This poll is about more than the 4 questions on the voting card. For many Peruvians, it's a vote of confidence in President Martin Vizcarra, who's met public outrage at corrupt judges and politicians with a pledge to root out graft from the top down. Turnout is high in Peru, where voting is mandatory, and those who stay at home face fines.
This vote is very important because of the Congress issue. It will mean the non-re-election of lawmakers who have caused so much trouble for the country.
This is kind of a plebiscite for the president, and if the yes vote is overwhelming, the president will feel supported.
Martin Vizcarra, then vice president to Pedro Pablo Kuczynski, took office when the leader resigned amid corruption allegations in March. In the wake of a string of scandals, Vizcarra focused on the fight against corruption, as he told CGTN in October.
If this government is remembered, it will be for fighting against corruption in theory and in practice. And I stress in practice because in theory, everyone has said that they will fight against corruption.
4 former Peruvian presidents are under investigation for ties to the scandal-plagued Brazilian construction firm Odebrecht, which is admitted to handing out $30 million in bribes in Peru. In October, opposition leader Keiko Fujimori was taken into preventative detention as prosecutors investigate her party's financial ties to the company. While on Monday, Uruguay turned down an asylum request by 2-time former president Alan Garcia, who claimed political persecution after he was barred from leaving the country. Prosecutors are investigating allegations he took bribes from Odebrecht in his second term, from 2006 to 2011.
Dan, you called this a seismic shift, so what's the expected outcome? What will happen next?
Well, Roy, I can tell you, we've just seen the exit polls here at the end of voting, and it seems to be an overwhelming, there's overwhelming backing for the reforms which President Martin Vizcarra is pushing through. According to the exit polls, the first 3 questions have got more than 85% support, all of them, and those are related to A, controlling campaign financing with criminal penalties if the laws are broken there. Also, the no re-election of lawmakers. People are pretty sick and tired of politicians, and they don't want them to get a second immediate term. And beyond that, there are other reforms which are going to help push through this anti-corruption drive. And as I said in the package, Martin Vizcarra is looking, this is really a confidence vote for Martin Vizcarra to help him get the backing he needs to push through these reforms and show politicians and political rivals that he has this overwhelming public backing. Now, there was a 4th question in this referendum which didn't get a yes, and that is on changing the unicameral system of one Congress to a bicameral system with a Congress and a Senate. I think people voted no, probably because they're pretty sick and tired of politicians. And talking of politicians, 2 very important political figures have recently been in court. We've seen Keiko Fujimori get preventative detention while prosecutors investigate allegations that she took bribes from the Brazilian construction firm Odebrecht as part of her campaign financing in 2011. And recently, Alan Garcia had an asylum request. He's a former president from 2006 to 2011. He had an asylum request rejected by Uruguay after he sought asylum claiming political persecution after he was banned from leaving the country as part of parallel investigations related to taking bribes from the same Brazilian construction firm Odebrecht.